welcome to Supply Chain Excellence Summit presented by CNBC-TV18.com in association with Infor and AWS. The supply chain industry today is in dire need to rethink and reimagine the sector after the pandemic pushed the industry towards a much needed digitization in order to safeguard end to end processes and prevent interruptions in the business functioning. This push has changed the face of what supply chains of industries will look like in the future and for the better. In this summit, we will discuss the challenges, the opportunities, the changing demographics, and socio-economic reasons ushering the dawn of new era in supply chain with special focus and changes being seen in discrete and process manufacturing space. Now, at this point, as we transit between an ongoing pandemic and a transformed industry, we must take cognizance of the things that have changed and what could be a key defining trend of the supply chain industry in the future. I have with me Mr. Murli Manohar, Senior Director and General Manager for the India subcontinent at Infor, to talk about how supply chain digitization is leading to a step change in customer satisfaction, cost optimization, and process ability. Mr. Manohar, thank you very, very much for joining in. I am Rima Tendulkar from CNBC TV 18. Now, warehouses, supply chain have all gone through a tremendous transformation over the past few years. But of course, the biggest push has come due to the pandemic. And a lot of supply chains, as we know, have turned digital. Can you tell us what is happening in the industry currently, your key observations and your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Rima, and I'm so glad to be here and share the stage with you. Right? Yes. See, sometimes the world needs crisis, right? A crisis that can shake you up and wake you up as well, right? And that's exactly what has happened, right? Primarily to this particular sector, right? The supply chain and the warehouse industry. And then according to me, I think we are only in the beginning of this particular digital transformation that is already underway, right? So digitization is no longer an option, right, for an organization in this particular sector for sure, right? Or be it in any sector, right? So even agriculture companies are really going digital today, right? So what we are looking at is a transformation where everything is going to be data driven, right? Cloud uptake, right, has been right so fast, right, in over the past 2 3 years, right? uh, Everyone kind of thought the business is going to go down, right? Especially for the ERP vendors, because no one is going to be taking up these systems and implementing while people are remote, right? But the complete opposite happened, right? Cloud adoption has really taken off, right? And what is also happening is, of course, improved visibility, right, across these siloed systems, right? Leveraging even better fulfillment and delivery processes, right? The transition, right, is primarily to overcome the visibility and partner community connectivity in the digitized network, right? What I see as a trend is, of course, eventually the entire ecosystem, right, being integrated, communication becoming seamless, right? And uh, every good that really takes off from maybe uh, a warehouse to a point that it kind of reaches to your home, right, is getting tracked, right? And I as a consumer getting a view of that, right? I think this is where we are all headed.
No, absolutely. I take your point that not being in digital is not an option anymore. But talking about digital is easy, but actually transitioning to digital is challenging for many companies. Can you talk about what are the steps for supply chains to go digital?
Well, I'll give you stories, right? So while the peak of pandemic, right, so we were having a discussion with one of the fastest growing snack company. They're big on potato wafers, right, based out of Gujarat, right? And we were having a discussion, and what I remember talking to them is that, hey, how they have kind of transitioned in the past 12 months, right? There was a situation where we were all at home, right? The uptake of all these snacks was really going off the roof, right? Kids were at home, we had to feed them, right? And what he told me was, right, that's when they could not go to office, right? They couldn't operate their factories, right? Because people are not allowed, right? Luckily for this company, what they had done was a year before that, right? They had digitized the entire production, right? Right from The only thing that they do was drop the potatoes right into a machine, from there to a packaging, and straight away getting into the trucks, right, was entirely automated, right? That kind of changed the game for them, right? The last what about 12 18 months have been the fastest they've grown ever, right? They've grown 5 times, right? Getting to $1 billion, right, in revenue, and all of that because of one step, right? It all starts by right spending right in the beginning, but then hey, it slowly starts giving back those returns. And in this particular case, right, the returns was so quick, right? Now he's the founders, right? So they come with a very very humble background. Started off as a small shop in Rajkot, right, selling wafers, right? So if you really have to look at it, right, it's not just one industry; it is across industry. Digitization is a must. The biggest challenge, of course, right, do that is, I think, our own mindset, right? While there is a lot of push from the market, right, from everything, right, everything logical, right, it will tell you, hey, invest this, but our own fear kind of sometimes pushes us back. And then we are continuously having these conversations with founders, with CEOs, right, who believe this is the right thing to do, but again, uh, really want to wait and watch, and there is one mutant after another coming, right? So you just cannot delay your decision just because there are more and more mutants coming, right? So what you have to do is, of course, take up these digitization challenges, right? And of course, right, start planning it, sourcing, production, handling the end-to-end processes. All of that has to be documented first. Looking at a gap where you think there is a highest chance of really automating, take that up first, start automating, right? So like again, reiterating, the biggest challenge is, I think, our own mindset, right, our own uh, fears in the market, right? But technology is available in the market, right? We are all waiting, and not just me, right? I think everyone in the market, right, have the tools to really make them successful.
Interesting example. On the pro side of it, you're saying this company, which had an end to end digital supply chain, just 1 year prior to when COVID hit, say 2 years later, managed to achieve its highest ever sales. That's point number one. And not only were they able to navigate the supply side disruptions because of COVID, remote working, but they also managed to do well and absorb the demand shocks, right? The big fluctuations that we saw in demand, in this case, of course, potato wafers, when we remember even there was a scramble to buy tissue papers. So
Yeah.
companies which have gone digital have actually managed to adjust, to both the demand as well as the supply side shocks. But on the flip side, you told us there were two challenges. One, of course, was the organizational readiness, the culture in the
Yeah.
organization. And the second one is that companies have to be ready to spend. The first step is spending. So, can you talk about, what are the costs which are involved? How expensive is it in the immediate term, at least, to go digital?
Great question. Like I touched upon this one. So I see every cost optimization starts by some kind of an investment, right? All you have to do is, again, right, document your processes, find the biggest gap in your entire process, right, which you want to which you can see the highest returns, and right. So you start with that, and then of course it will take a investment, it will take a spend, but all I can tell you is that with the current technology, right, what we're talking about is cloud, right? Earlier, when I started my career, right, we would sell in a license of a WMS or an ERP, right? It was a huge set of licenses that come to you, but to make it work, right, you would spend 3 times more, right? The hardware, network, laptops to everyone, and right, people to really manage that, right? On top of that, right, you also have these imperatives of the market, right, to be always on the latest, right? Because the technology is changing so fast, right? You have to be upgraded every 2 to 3 years, right? What cloud has done to you is that, hey, it's a subscription now. If you want to buy an ERP, right, You just go and approach anyone like either in Infor or any other company in this particular space, talk about cloud, right? The entire transition, right, from not having an ERP to having an ERP, right, can be completed in 6 months, right? And all those upfront costs, right, which would otherwise be a big deterrent to these large companies, right, is all pushed out now, right? We as vendors take that responsibility, right? And what is also happening very interestingly is, right, vendors are becoming very uh, industry specific, right? It's not okay to just have one ERP, right, which kind of works across the board, right? Or one system which works for a 3PL organization, for a retail company, right, or to a discrete manufacturer.
But digitization is an ongoing theme, Manohar. Companies will need to keep innovating. So, can you tell us, can you predict some of the big trends of the supply chain sectors in the short term, specifically, say, 2 years?
Well, I'm already seeing those things happening now, right? Not just 2 years. I think people have already started using things like augmented reality, right? 3D visualization of their operations, right? Sitting in your office, you have a view on your screen on, hey, what space, what rack in your entire warehouse is empty, right? Where this particular SKU item is, right? So you have that already today, and there are companies already providing that to the market. But adoption of that is something I think will happen in the next 2 to 3 years, right? The other thing which is also going to happen is right, connected to 3D visualization is also uh, tracking, right? Like I told you, right? You need to know exactly in which rack, uh, because there are thousands of rack there, right? Where exactly is this particular product, right? So using IoT as a technology, right, within a warehouse, right, also becomes something which is imperative now, right? The third most important, and I would put it on the top, right, is the entire ecosystem integration, right? That means, right from truck to sea route to air, right? I touched upon this a little earlier as well, right? You as a consumer need to have a full visibility of, right, where the product is, right, in the 'cause some of the things that we order, right? I'll give you an example. I ordered for a cot, right, which was specially made for a very vintage looking house, right? And right from placing the order, right, for them to pick up uh, the, the 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 raw materials for that, starting to really put it all together, to then shipping it from Delhi to Bangalore, right? The entire uh, cycle, right, really from that starting point of me placing the order to the time that I got it installed in my house, right, I was able to track. And then this is not a large vendor; it's a small vendor, right, who's offering that, right? When a small lender can do it, right? Imagine, right, if I order something from the US, maybe the new Google Pixel 4, because I'm a big fan of that, right? I want to get it here, right? Can I see it, have the full visibility right from leaving maybe the China manufacturing facility to reaching me here in Bangalore, right? So that within India at least is still not as integrated as we would want it to be. But I think that is going to be a big trend now, right? Because there is this one of the products that we have, right, which is called Infor Nexus. I was told when the Suez Canal was blocked by this large ship getting stuck there, right? 70% of the shipments there by some of our largest customers, right? Uh, and all of that, right, 70% of that was tracked using the Infor Nexus product, right? We had visibility, right? There's something called a control tower, right? It's like a dashboard where you exactly know, right, where which shipment is, and then how much time it's going to take to really get to where it should get to, right? So I think it's a big trend, right? Within India, I see these control towers coming up very soon within all the supply chain companies, right? And of course, integration of these ecosystem, right?
Manohar, this was most insightful. Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
very much for that.
Thank you so much, Rima. It was a pleasure.